In 2013, one Nigerian politician did the unthinkable. This man didn't build roads, he didn't fix schools, he didn't care if your children were drinking gutter water. Instead, this man used 3.4 billion naira of stolen government funds to build a university. But not for you, not for your children, and definitely not for anybody. Just one big ass university with marble floors, gold-plated toilets, and a massive statue of himself. Guess how many students in that university? Less than 50. The classrooms are empty. The hostel is empty, but his bank accounts are so full. I don't know why no one talks. I don't know why no one investigated. Why? Is it because this man is still in power? Or is it because this politician is throwing fake scholarship around? And you know what's crazy? He is not the only one. You see, across Nigeria, politicians are using private universities like personal washing machines, stealing public funds, hiding it in schools, fake endowment, ghost students, construction contract to their own companies. They are not building schools, they are building money laundering factories. And you people still clap for them. Wow, he's investing in education. Seriously, education my foot. The money meant for hospitals, for roads, for electricity, they turn it into air-conditioned lecture hall no one uses. But this video, see, it is not a documentary. It is just a normal talk to expose you to what is happening in Nigeria. We have names, we have documents, we have receipts that can turn this country down. Starting with that man from 2013, the one who crushed an entire community to build a fake university that only exists on paper. We'll show you who he is, but wait, not yet, because once you see his face, you will never look at Nigerian politics the same way again. Let's get one thing straight. Nigerian private university bomb wasn't born out of vision. It was born out of corruption. According to Tribune, this sudden explosion of private universities isn't born because elites suddenly fell in love with education. Nah, it is because they found the perfect place to wash stolen cash without raising alarms. And we are not talking small change here. Investigation by anti-graft agency show a disturbing pattern. Politicians and top officials are turning universities into laundry factories. Over the last 20 years, dozens of these schools have popped up, conveniently owned and backed by powerful politicians. Here is the formula. Steal public funds, build a shiny campus, and call it an investment. But what kind of investment are we talking about? Alright, no worries, we are getting there. Let's kick things off with one of the most boldest cases ever. In June 2024, Premium Times broke the news. EFCC raided and seized an entire private university, NOK University in Kaduna. Yeah, the whole damn thing. A federal high court didn't even blink. It ruled out campus, buildings, and everything inside must be forfeited to the government. But why? Because it was built with stolen funds. The man behind it all, Anthony Hazard, a former finance director in the Ministry of Health, had no reasonable explanation for where all that cash came in from. EFCC traced every naira back to the looted government money. The court called it what it was: proceed with unlawful activities. Translation: a money laundering machine disguised as a university. And let that sink in. A whole-ass university seized like a stolen iPhone. Now, let's move to Yola, the place where things get a little bit murky. A former vice president, Atiku Abubakar. According to Why Niger and African Liberty, Atiku founded the American University of Nigeria in 2004 to 2005. But guess what? He did it while still in office, and that time stinks. Report says the campus cost $25 million to build. Then he allegedly dropped another $8 million to affiliate it with the American University in Washington, D.C. Total? That is $33 million. So where did all that money come from? AUS Senate reports, FBI files, and African Liberty point fingers. State funds were diverted, and Atiku's name came up in the multiple offshore transfers, totaling $40 million during that same period. Even US banks flagged it as suspicious. Yet, AUN still calls it world class. Maybe it is, but the money behind it, dirty as hell. Now let's talk about someone else, Chimaroke Nnamani, former Enugu State governor, and well, let me say, one of the most Nigerian's original education scammers. According to an investigation by Sunday Independent, he built Renaissance University with over 10 billion naira, a ridiculous sum for any public official. And that's not even the worst story. He allegedly funneled cash through fake companies like Rainbow Net Limited, fronted by a woman named Chinelu Wigwe. When EFCC came knocking, Wigwe vanished just like that. By 2007, once Nnamani left office, the money dried up and the whole university started crumbling. One Sunday Independent source put it perfectly. These companies weren't funded with Enugu State money before. Now that the Nnamani is no longer in power, how do you expect them to survive? Exactly. No more stolen money. No more university. The EFCC later seized Nnamani assets, and Renaissance became a case study in how fake education empires collapse when the load stops flowing. Now, flashback to 2013. Nigerians suddenly found out, thanks to Nigerian media, that then Senate President David Mark was actually building a university in Otukpo, Edo State, and people weren't clapping. Local youth took to the street, protesting what they called illegal land acquisition. Clashes broke out. 30 policemen got injured actually. But what's the bigger question? Where the hell did David Mark get the money? He had been a senator since 1999, but before that, he's just another military man. No non-business empire, no billionaire portfolio, yet he was funding an elite campus like he was Elon Musk. Columnist Pius Adisomi nailed it in Why Nigeria Media piece. Every looter, every cook wants to start a private university after building a church or mosque. Facts. Obasanjo built Pearls University. Babangida flouted heritage. Atiku bought AUN. Now, David Mark joined the club. And nobody raises a damn eyebrow. Though the project never got completed, but the intent was clear. Build a fake university, claim the dirt money, slap your name on it, and walk away like a hero. But hold on, let's not forget former President Olusegun Obasanjo. In 2005, still served as head of state. He launched Pearls University of Technology through its foundation. But as Why Nigeria rightly asked, where did the money come from? At that time, public universities were begging for funds. ASU was striking. Campuses were falling apart. But Baba was out there building a new university with zero transparency, no EFCC probes, and surely no public questions. Critics told Why Nigeria it sent a dangerous message. If the president can mix up public duty with private business, why can't everyone else? Bells became a quiet symbol of elite privilege, where the sovereign of public funds schools gave birth to a private empire. Now, let's talk about Ibrahim Babangida, the king of oil wind force scandals. Why Nigeria reported that he once secured a license from the NUC to build Heritage University in Niger State. However, there was no building, no students, no graduation photos, just another ghost project. However, the NUC yanked the license, not because of dirty funds actually, but because the project simply never happened. And guess what? Babangida, the man who lost $12.4 billion during the Gulf War oil pump, faced with zero questions about how he planned to fund the school. It was definitely a textbook laundry play. Flood the school, hide the money, disappear when it gets hot. That's all it. But hold up, because this one I'm about to say will definitely be different. In 1999, the first Nigerian private university was actually established in Okada, Igbinedion University, officially owned by Gabriel Igbinedion. But that timing, it was suspicious as hell, because the same year his son Lucky Igbinedion became governor of Edo State, and according to EFCC, Lucky went on to loot 25 billion naira in public funds. In 2008, he got off with a slap on the wrist plea bargain. Meanwhile, Igbinedion University was booming. Beautiful buildings, modern classrooms, lavish facilities, all while Edo State infrastructure collapsed. Premium Times didn't menace words. Lucky Igbinedion stolen several millions of dollars from the treasury and yet his family's business, including the university, are flourishing. Is that a coincidence? Not likely. The university is a momentum to money laundering masked as education. From NOK to AUN, from Renaissance to Igbinedion. Today, the game hasn't changed, just the players. According to Premium Times, Niger and the EFCC, Nigerian private university boom has been one long slow motion scam. They don't actually call it looting. You see, they call it an investment in education. But let's call it what it really is right now. It is simply a billionaire fund hiding inside the air-conditioned lecture halls. And I'm telling you, we are just getting started. But let's talk about how they wash dirty money to university, the step-by-step guide. These politicians aren't building school because they care about education. That's obvious. They are not building for your children. They are building for their bank accounts. Nigeria's private universities have become full-blown money laundering machines. And here is exactly how they are doing it. Starting from shell companies, fake philanthropy, inflated contracts, ghost students, and more. Now, let's go step by step. Number one we are going to talk about here is shell companies and fake ownership. Yes, you heard that right, fake ownership. Or do you think a Nigerian politicians will slap his or her name on a stolen property? Oh, never. According to Land, corrupt officials hiding behind proxies, shell companies and family members to cover their tracks. In the case of Chimaroke Nnamani, his Seri company, Rainbownet Limited, was chaired by Mrs. Wengwe, a woman who served as front before vanishing when EFCC came knocking. The university he built, registered under fake names, its textbook laundering, and until recently, the Corporate Affairs Commission and NUC didn't even verify who really owned these schools. So, a politician could pump dirty money into fake company, which donates a building to the university, and boom, the money is clean. One study cited by SSRM papers put it perfectly. Nigeria's laws still allow criminal assets to be preserved under the cover of school ownership. Now, let's move on to the second. This is called overbuilt campuses equals real estate laundering. Have you ever visited a Nigerian private university that even looked better than your state capital? Well, we are getting there because that is not an accident. According to Premium Times, EFCC found that NOK University entire luxury setup, Senate building, ICT center, faculty blocks was funded with stolen government money. Land also revealed that Renaissance University burned through 10 billion naira in infrastructure, even though the school didn't generate enough tuitions to justify it. But do you want to know how it works? Well, it is simple. Now, let's take for example, a politician has 5 billion naira in stolen funds. He will then hire his friend's company to build a hostel. The official cost, 5 billion naira, don't forget. The real cost is 1 billion naira. The other 4 billion naira, they are wired back, clean and smiling. Because nobody audits campus construction in Nigeria. As long as there is a shiny gate, a few buildings, no one will ask why the budget looks like a rocket launch. Now, let's move on to number 3, which is fake donation and endowments. This one is definitely a pure performance. A politician takes a stolen loot and donates it to a university he secretly owes. And just like that, it's a philanthropy. And according to African Liberty, Atiku wired over $40 million in suspicious funds to US accounts. Part of that, an $8 million payment to the American University in Washington, D.C., just to slap legitimacy on AUN in Nigeria. That is not a donation. That is reputation laundering. Transparency International and the UK National Crime Agency have warned for years that politically exposed persons, known as PEP, use schools to move untraceable cash through anonymous offshore grants or made-up scholarship programs. As SSRN research pointed out, loopholes in our laws let corrupt figures inject dirty funds into schools and churches without a single question asked. That's all it is. Now, let's move on to the number 4, which is phantom student and fake tuition fees. You see, this one is definitely next level slick. You see, a politician builds a private university, then pretends students are paying crazy tuition. But it is all just cash cycling through fake enrollment. AML Watcher say this happens all over the world actually, especially in corrupt countries. You see, in the UK, they found over £4 million in suspicious tuition payments from shell companies tied to the West Africa. Now in Nigeria, it is the same tree. According to Guardian Nigerian, a polytechnic in the southeast had just 30 students, but still collected billions in public education funds for 4 straight years. EFCC jumped in, but let's not act like that's the only example. Tribune Nigerian reported that many licensed private universities exist merely on paper. Their job isn't to teach actually, it is just to muff money. And high tuition, that is a whole other game. Now, let's say a contractor owes a governor a favor. Maybe the governor help him get a government deal whatsoever, but instead of giving the governor cash directly, which would look like a bribe, the contractor will now pay maybe 3 million naira as a school fee for the governor's child. On paper, it looks clean, just someone paying tuition to a school, but in reality, it is a bribe disguised as education expenses. That's a clever way to hide corruption. No cash changes hands, no suspicious bank transfer, no official trace back to the governor, just school fees, but it's still dirty money. Genius? Yes. Evil? Definitely. Now, let's talk about the godfather of university laundering. Who is who actually? But let's not sugarcoat it. There is a recurring cast of powerful men who have treated the Nigerian education system like a private washing machine. Same scripts, but different actors. Here are the main ones. Number 1, Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Offshore Education, former vice president from 1999 to 2007, the co-founder of the American University of Nigeria, AUN. According to African Liberty, Atiku's hands weren't just in government, they were in state funds and shady privatization deals. The US Senate and FBI both linked him to a major money laundering operation. AUN is still up and running today, but as African Liberty points out, tens of millions of dollars went into it. And almost everyone believes a bank chunk of it was diverted public money. Atiku, of course, denies it, but the money trail screams louder than his press statement. Number 2, Olusegun Obasanjo, bails with no questions. Obasanjo, former president from 1999 to 2007, funded Bells University of Technology in 2005 using his private foundation. Back then, why Nigeria says no one asked where the money came from. Obasanjo was already an ex-general and a rich man, but Nigeria's treasure was overflowing with oil revenue back then. So, was Bells University built with clean cash or presidential pick? Nobody knows. Nobody investigated. That silence, and that is the problem. Well, let's talk about it. Number 3, which is Ibrahim Babangida, the ghost license holder. He was a military president from 1985 to 1993. He wanted to start Heritage University in Niger State. Why Nigerian report that he got green light from NUC, but the school never opened. License withdrawn. This man is infamous for billions missing under his rule, including the notorious $12.4 billion oil windfall. And yet, no one questioned the money behind this university plan. It was either a failed laundry attempt or just another PR move. Now, let's move on to number 4, Igbinedion, the 25 billion naira and a family school. He was former governor of Edo State, 1999 to 2007. His family owns Igbinedion University, founded in 1999. The EFCC convicted him of laundering 25 billion naira in public funds. But what was his punishment? The plea bargain and the laughable fine. While the public infrastructure in Edo was falling apart, EFCC reported that the university and the entire Igbinedion business empire was booming. No direct links was drawn, but the timing, the wealth, and the family ownership all reek of a classic laundering play. As one Premium Times reports put it, Igbinedion stole millions, yet his family business flourished. You do the maths. Now, let's move on to number 5, Chimaroke Nnamani, the master of disguise. Enugu former governor from 1999 to 2007, the mind behind Renaissance University, and several other shady ventures. Netherlands reveals that Nnamani looted over 100 million in state funds. The EFCC charged them with 105 counts, including money laundering. After 2007, Nigerian revealed that Nnamani looted over $100 million in state funds. The EFCC charged him with 105 counts, including money laundering. After 2007, when the EFCC froze his accounts, his entire university setup, including a radio station and secondary schools, began to crumble. But why? Because, as Nigerian documented, they were all propped up by stolen state cash. His legacy, a textbook case of education-based fraud. The number 6, David Mark, the ghost builder of Otukpo, Senate president from 2007 to 2015. In 2013, he started building a private university in his hometown, Otukpo in Edo State. Then, the protest started. Locals accused him of land grabbing, and the project stalled while Nigeria said he was enormously wealthy, with funds allegedly from defense contracts and constituency slush funds. But no one proved anything. No EFCC case was filed. Mark just quietly paused the project and moved on. But the message was clear. Even sitting officials know universities are the perfect spots for dirty money. And then there's the rest. A long list of others have dipped their hands into the education pot, some publicly, others behind closed doors. Starting from Oji Uzo Kalu, the ex-governor of Abia State, was rumored to back a private university. Bukola Saraki helped fund a private secondary school and supported a state university before getting dragged in grafting cases. Also, Ike Ekewurimadu built a lavish church in his village. He moved similar to other using religious institutions for laundering, according to Nigeria. And it is not just politicians. Even bank chiefs, church leaders, and shady businessmen have jumped into university game. Some use stolen chichis. Others run their schools like ghost enterprises. Either way, the result is the same. Prestige plus zero oversight equals perfect laundromats. Now, let's lay out the facts. The private university explosion didn't come from God. It came from corrupt democracy money. 1999 to 2007, Obasanjo era, the first wave. Tribune report that before 1999, there was zero private university in Nigeria. Military rule didn't allow it. But by early 2000s, things changed so fast. As civilian politicians got fat on oil money and state loans, the government began licensing schools left and right. Between 1999 and 2010, over 50 private universities were approved. Some notable players: Igbinedion University in 1999, Madonna University also 1999, Babcock same 1999, Covenant 2002, Bells 2005, and AUN 2005, and a lot more. Behind the scene, Tribune and other reports exposed how several governors, including Nnamani, Igbinedion, and Alama Shenga and Dariye, stolen billions during this exact window. That's not a coincidence, actually. 2007 to 2015, Yaradua plus Jonathan era, expansion, no scrutiny. This period even saw more schools opening, with AUN expanding and other institutions getting NUC license. But the anti-corruption fight was weak. According to Vanguard, it wasn't until 2015 that the EFCC reopened old cases like Lockheed Medians. Meanwhile, the Carnegie Endowment reported that the West African elites, especially Nigerians, were moving unexplained wealth into UK schools for their kids. At home, they were doing the same thing. In 2015 to 2023, Buhari's era, let's call it the reckoning, begins. The president elected on an anti-corruption promise finally started eating back. Premium Times and the Guardian Nigerian covered EFCC deeper probes, including the forfeiture of NOK University, known as NOK University, and the exposure of a federal polytechnics running with just 30 students, but collecting billions in government funds. EFCC even recovered Nnamani's properties in 2025, over 15 years after the original laundering was done. That is how long the game has been played, and most of them got away with it. Until now, reputation washing, why they love building schools. Here is another ugly truth. When a politician builds a university, it is not just for the money, it is for the legacy. Most of these universities are in their hometowns, small, rural areas where people are desperate for jobs and development. So even if the source of the money is stolen, the locals defend them. But why? Because they built something. David Mark in Benue, Nnamani in Enugu, Atiku in Adamawa, and Igbinedion in Edo, they are not just laundering cash, they are laundering their image. They become education heroes, while the rest of the country crumbles. Let's talk about global hiccups. This is actually bigger than Nigeria. The Carnegie Endowment Fund in UK, schools receiving massive payments from Nigerian officials, far above what their salary could explain. But in Ghana, the same pattern is showing up. Universities built by shady money, churches getting blessed by looters. That is why AML Watcher is calling for schools to be treated like banks, with anti-money laundering checks, audits, and disclosures. But in Nigeria, until recently, nobody actually cared. And let's not sugarcoat it, Nigerian private universities have become premium money laundering tools, period. NOK University wasn't an outlier, it was a blueprint. Renaissance wasn't an accident, it was a strategy. AUN, Bells, Heritage, all follow the same crooked formula. Steal big, build fancy, clean the cash in plain sight. These schools weren't created to educate, they were created to hide crime behind graduation gowns. The real tragedy is because the system allows it. No one checks where the money came from. NUC doesn't dig, CAC doesn't ask, EFCC only acts when the stench is too strong to ignore. Meanwhile, these politicians build university with stolen money and call themselves philanthropists. You see a ribbon cutting ceremony. We see crime scene with balance. So, what's the fix? Well, let's break it down little by little. Number 1, update the Money Laundering Act to cover education donation and shady tuitions flow. Force universities to name their donors. No more mystery benefactors. Let EFCC and ICPC dig deeper. Every time a broke ex-governor suddenly funds a 10 billion naira campus. Make NUC to do more than just hand out licenses. Vet the owners, audit the books. Every no-profit university should face questions like a firing squad. No more fake philanthropy and no more unearned praise. If you looted the nation, seriously, you don't get to teach the next generation. You should be in jail, not on a convocation stage. Education is sacred. It shouldn't be a laundry business for the corrupt. And seriously, if Nigeria is going to clean this up, this is where it starts. Thank you for watching.